The galaxy had always carried stories about a species called humans, but no one truly believed them. Many scholars claimed the tales were exaggerated myths created in the early cycles of exploration. Others said humans never existed, and that the rumors were only warnings written by ancient travelers who feared the unknown. Yet some believed the legends were true, and that humans were a species too powerful and too dangerous to be forgotten. They were said to come from a world called Earth, a place so hostile that even the strongest creatures could barely survive. The galaxy called it a death world, and its people were known for their ability to endure anything. In the Great Hall of the Galactic Council, different species gathered to discuss growing tensions. The Voric Dominion had spread across many systems, destroying fleets and crushing resistance. Council ships could not stop them, and many worlds had already fallen. Fear moved like a shadow through the hall. Representatives argued, shouted, and demanded answers. Council leader Rilo raised his voice, trying to restore order. He asked if any new allies could help them. One scholar spoke about the old legends again. He mentioned humans, but the hall erupted in laughter and disbelief. Humans were legends, he was told. Stories for children. Even if they once existed, they were long gone. The idea that humans would return to save the galaxy felt impossible. Far from the council, a small survey ship named Astrix moved through quiet space near a dead star. Its crew was made up of simple explorers who never expected to find anything important. Captain Silent, a calm and thoughtful alien, ordered her team to investigate unusual readings from the region. The crew worked carefully because the dead star emitted strange signals and unstable radiation. During the scan, one crew member detected a repeating pattern. It was faint but steady. The signal was nothing like the natural energy waves found among stars. It looked organized, structured, and precise. The technician enhanced the signal and froze in shock. It matched an ancient code found only in forbidden archives. It was a human military code. The crew could not believe what they were seeing. Captain Silent asked for a full scan. The signal grew stronger as they approached a dark region behind drifting cosmic dust. The moment the ship crossed the dust cloud, their sensors flared with warnings. Something massive was hidden there. Something that should not exist. Fear and excitement filled the Astrix. Captain Silent ordered the ship to move slowly. As the dust parted, they saw faint outlines. Large shapes floating silently in the void. The shapes were organized in perfect formation, like soldiers waiting for orders. Commander Leraz of the Council fleet was soon informed. He was a strict and serious leader, known for making decisions without hesitation. When he heard the report, he felt something he had not felt in years. Uncertainty. If the signal was truly human, everything the Council believed would change. Leraz prepared a small investigative fleet. He feared that this discovery could either save them or destroy them. As their ships traveled toward the Dead Star region, the crew whispered about the old human stories. They remembered tales of powerful warships, unmatched courage, and a species that never backed down. When the investigative fleet reached the location, the darkness around them shifted. Slowly, the outlines appeared again, clearer this time. They were enormous ships, silent, still, and cold. No lights, no energy signatures, no movement. Leraz ordered his crew to hold position. He did not want to provoke whatever might be waiting in those shadows. The ships looked abandoned, but their design did not match any modern species. The hulls were thicker, sharper, and shaped for war. Every ship seemed built for survival in the harshest environments. As they scanned deeper, they discovered thousands of these ships stretching far into the darkness. The crew realized they were looking at something impossible. There were too many. The fleet was larger than anything the Council had ever built. It seemed endless. Then, their communication systems cracked with static. The noise was sharp and cold, like an old machine waking from sleep. The voice that followed was not alien. It was not synthetic. It was human. One word echoed through every ship. Earth. The crew looked around in fear. No one knew what it meant. They listened closely as the voice continued. The message was simple and short, but it caused every living being to freeze. Earth Fleet, stand by. Captain Leraz felt his heartbeat slow. The message confirmed everything they feared and everything they hoped for. Humans were not gone. Their fleet was not lost. They had not disappeared like the legends claimed. They had been waiting. He sent an emergency report to the council. Leaders across the galaxy reacted with shock. Some were terrified. Others felt hope for the first time in many cycles. The Voric Dominion had grown too strong, and no one had been able to stop them. But if humans had returned, maybe the galaxy still had a chance. Council debates turned chaotic again. Some members begged to contact the human fleet and ask for help. Others warned against it, saying humans might attack everyone, not just the Voric. The legends had always said humans fought without fear and could destroy entire empires if provoked. While the council argued, the investigative fleet stayed near the silent giants. Leraz knew they were standing near a power far beyond their understanding. He wondered how long the human fleet had waited there. Hundreds of years? Thousands? He wondered why they had not moved or made contact. A young officer named Jiho, one of the few humans the galaxy had ever recorded in modern cycles, watched the silent ships with wide eyes. He had grown up hearing stories about Earth from old archives but never believed his people were still out there. He felt a strange pull toward the massive structures. Something inside him whispered that this moment was important. Another crew member, a calm and steady woman named Hannah, studied the readings beside him. She felt the same quiet fear. But unlike Jiho, she did not feel hope. She worried that humans' awakening could bring more danger. She had heard stories of ancient wars that humans had fought, and none of them ended without great destruction. Commander Leraz watched his crew carefully. He could see the mixed feelings in their faces. Fear, hope, curiosity. He knew that one day the galaxy would remember this moment. The moment the legends breathed again. As the crew continued their scans, they noticed a faint glow coming from the largest ship in the center. It was slow, weak, as if something old was trying to wake up after centuries of silence. The glow grew brighter, and their sensors filled with warnings. Then the ancient ship spoke. Its voice was calm, steady, and impossibly human. "This is Sentinel-01, Guardian of Earth Fleet. Identify yourselves." Every member of the investigative fleet froze. Leraz stepped forward, his voice shaking slightly as he introduced himself and the council. He explained the Voric threat and the collapse of countless worlds. The voice responded after a long pause. "Earth hears your plea. Protocol Terra has been awakened." The glow spread to the other ships. One by one, the massive vessels began to show signs of life. Silent engines hummed. Old weapons hummed with energy. The fleet was waking. In that moment, the galaxy realized the truth. Humans were never legends. They had only been sleeping. The silent fleet continued to float in the dark space, but everything was different now. The glow from the largest ship, the one called Sentinel-01, slowly grew stronger. The investigative fleet watched the light spread across the giant structures like sparks moving along old metal veins. The hum of energy filled the void, quiet at first, then stronger as each warship responded. Commander Leraz felt a cold shiver, even though the temperature inside his command room did not change. He understood that what they were witnessing was the awakening of something ancient. The giant ships had once belonged to humans, a species known in the oldest records for their unstoppable will and dangerous strength. If these ships were truly coming back to life, then everything in the galaxy would change. Sentinel-01 spoke again, its voice calm and clear. "Your signal has been reviewed. Threat level high. Voric Dominion activity detected. Earth fleet transitioning from dormant mode." The crew looked at one another. A dormant fleet that could still awaken after centuries was beyond anything they had imagined. The words coming from the ship confirmed their greatest fear and greatest hope. Humans had left something behind, and it was now awakening to answer the threat. Among the fleet, Jiho watched the glowing ships with a mix of fear and strange comfort. As one of the few humans living among other species, he had always felt out of place. He had no memories of Earth and no knowledge of his ancestors' past. But now, seeing the old human ships rise again, He felt as if he was witnessing the return of a part of himself. Beside him, Hannah took notes with a steady hand. She was calm as always, but inside she felt a storm of questions. How powerful were these ships? Why had they been left here? And what exactly was Protocol Terra, the thing the Sentinel mentioned? She did not want to guess, but every part of her felt that the galaxy was about to face something immense. The massive warships began to shift their positions. Some rotated slowly, others opened old mechanical panels, revealing hidden lights and complex systems. The movement was slow and careful, as if the ships were waking from a long sleep. Energy signals rose higher. Engines that had been silent for countless years came back to life. They did not roar. They hummed, steady and deep, like a heartbeat. Commander Laraz kept his fleet at a safe distance. He did not want to provoke the human ships, but he wanted to understand them. He asked Sentinel-01 why these ships were here, waiting in this place. The answer came without hesitation. Earth Fleet Unit 7 was positioned here as a final defense. In the event of a major galactic threat, this fleet would awaken. The Vorik Dominion has triggered the required conditions. Laraz lowered his head. It made sense. Humans had left behind a force strong enough to shape the future, hidden and waiting for a crisis that would decide the fate of many worlds. The Vorik, with their hunger for power, had finally awakened the last line of human defense. The investigative crew began to gather more information. Their scanners showed that the fleet consisted of 7,000 ships. Dreadnoughts, carriers, heavy destroyers, and a few rare types that their systems could not even identify. Every ship was armed with technology far beyond anything the Council had. As the scans continued, another message came from Sentinel-01. Earth Command has been notified. Stand by for transmission. Everyone froze. If Earth Command existed, it meant humans were not extinct. It meant humans were watching from somewhere far away. It meant this was not just an old leftover fleet waking up on its own. Someone on Earth was responding. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then a faint glow appeared on the central display of the investigative flagship. The glow sharpened. The image cleared. A human man in a military uniform appeared. His hair was short and dark, his eyes sharp and calm. His name tag read Admiral Huan Li. The entire room fell silent. Admiral Huan Li spoke with a steady and confident voice. This is Earth Command. We have received your report. Earth Fleet Unit 7 is now active. We acknowledge the threat of the Vorik Dominion. Commander Laraz stood straight. He introduced himself, explained the situation of the galaxy, and asked if Earth would intervene. Admiral Li listened without interrupting. When Laraz finished, Admiral Li nodded slowly. The galaxy cried for help, he said. Earth will answer. Those words echoed through every ship. Even the most hardened soldiers felt their hearts shake. It was as if an old guardian had returned after ages of silence. Sentinel-01 began issuing commands to the fleet. Lights grew brighter. Engines aligned. Weapons systems powered up. The old warships moved into formation, perfect and synchronized. 7,000 human ships, silent for centuries, now stood ready. Jiho watched the awakening with awe. He felt pride rising inside him, a feeling he never expected. He did not know these humans. He had never seen Earth. But something inside him told him that he belonged to this moment. He felt connected to the fleet in a way he could not explain. Hannah also felt something strange. She had always tried to understand humans, but she had never thought she would witness their power like this. She wondered what Earth was like now. Was it peaceful? Was it strong? What kind of people lived there? She had many questions, but all she knew for now was that Earth was not silent. As the fleet prepared to move, Commander Laraz sent a message to the Council. They needed to know what was coming. He explained that Earth had returned and that the human fleet would soon take action. The Council reacted with shock, fear, and hope. Some leaders wanted to welcome the humans. Others feared that humans would crush them next. But none of their opinions mattered now. The Earth fleet was awake. Sentinel-01 contacted the investigative fleet. All Allied vessels maintain safe distance. Human fleet preparing for warp transition. The stars around them seemed to bend as the giant ships charged their warp drives. Light gathered across the hulls. The engines brightened like rising suns. Commander Laraz ordered his fleet to pull back. They watched from afar as the human ships formed a vast arrow-shaped formation. The sight was breathtaking. It was terrifying. It was beautiful. Then Sentinel-01 broadcast one final message. Earth fleet is moving. Protocol Terra begins now. The space around the human fleet burst with light. It was as if 7,000 stars ignited at once. The warships disappeared into warp, leaving behind nothing but a fading glow. The galaxy understood that everything had changed. The humans were coming. The human fleet moved through the galaxy with a speed and strength that no one had ever seen before. More than 7,000 warships traveled in perfect formation, each ship glowing with bright blue energy as they crossed the dark space between stars. Their engines cut through the void like lines of light, and every movement was smooth and precise. The investigative fleet that followed them kept a careful distance, still amazed and terrified by what they were witnessing. Commander Laraz watched the human ships from his command screen. He had led fleets for many cycles, but nothing in his experience could compare to this sight. The human warships were larger, stronger, and more advanced than anything built by the Council. Weapons covered their hulls, and strange symbols ran along their sides, symbols older than any modern language. Jiho stood quietly beside the large display window on his ship. He felt an unusual calm while watching the Earth fleet. He did not fully understand his connection to them, but he felt a deep sense of belonging every time he saw their formation. Hannah stood near him, her tablet in hand, taking notes on each ship's structure and energy levels. She kept stopping to stare, unable to hide her surprise. The human ships communicated silently with one another, exchanging short bursts of energy signals that no alien system could read. Only Sentinel-01, the main Guardian AI, sent messages in a voice that the other fleets could understand. Sentinel-01 spoke only when necessary, and when it did, its voice carried a weight that reminded everyone that the humans were serious about their mission. As the fleet approached the edge of Council territory, they received their first distress call. The Vorik had attacked a colony world, leaving thousands in danger. The Council had tried to respond, but their smaller fleet was instantly destroyed. The colony had no defenses left. The moment Sentinel-01 received the report, the Earth fleet changed direction. Thousands of ships turned at once, forming a straight path toward the colony. Their engines brightened, and space warped around them. Commander Laraz informed his crew to prepare for pursuit, though he knew they could not keep up with the humans. He watched as the Earth fleet vanished into warp, leaving behind a trail of fading blue light. When the human warships exited warp near the colony, they arrived like a storm. The Vorik ships surrounding the world did not even have time to react. The Earth fleet moved with silent precision. Every human ship targeted a Vorik vessel, and in the span of seconds, bright beams of light shot through the darkness. The Vorik ships exploded one after another. Some tried to flee, but they were caught immediately. The human weapons seemed to bend space itself, hitting targets even when they tried to hide. The power of the shots shook the orbit of the colony world. On the planet's surface, frightened citizens looked up and saw the sky flash. They thought the end had come, but instead of falling fire, they saw the Vorik ships crumble in the sky like dust. Then they saw the giant human ships above them, quiet and still, protecting them. The people cried in relief. They had heard the old stories about humans, but seeing 7,000 warships defending them felt unreal. Meanwhile, Admiral Huan Li appeared on every human ship's main display. His expression stayed calm. First objective secured. Begin rescue and support operations. As the humans moved to help the colony, the investigative fleet finally arrived. They saw the destroyed Vorik fleet and the untouched human formation. Commander Laraz felt a chill. The Vorik had terrorized the galaxy for cycles, and yet the humans defeated them in minutes. Hannah's hands shook as she took notes. The power they have, it's beyond anything we predicted, she whispered. Jiho watched quietly. He felt proud, but he also felt worried. Such power could save the galaxy, but it could also destroy it if misused. Human dropships descended to the colony surface. Human soldiers, wearing dark armor with glowing blue lines, stepped out. They moved as one, silent and disciplined. They helped injured citizens, repaired damaged structures, and neutralized leftover threats. People stared at them, unsure whether to fear them or thank them. A small group of human officers spoke to the colony leaders in calm voices. Every word they spoke carried confidence. The colony leaders were shocked to see real humans, believing they were only legends. As the rescue operations continued, Admiral Huan Li contacted Commander Laraz. Your fleet will hold position at a safe distance. Earth fleet will handle all direct confrontations with the Vorik. You may follow for observation. Laraz agreed, though he felt a strange pressure in his chest. He wanted to trust the humans, but their overwhelming power made him uneasy. Still, he could not deny that the galaxy needed them. Once the colony was secured, the human fleet prepared for their next movement. The Vorik Dominion controlled many systems, and the humans planned to strike quickly before the Vorik could regroup. The entire galaxy watched closely. News spread fast. Humans were real and they had returned. On many worlds, people celebrated. They believed the humans would bring peace. On other worlds, leaders whispered in fear, wondering what humanity would do after defeating the Vorik. Would they stay? Would they take control? Would they demand tribute? Jiho heard these rumors through reports and messages. He did not know what Earth's true intentions were, but he hoped his people would bring protection, not domination. Hannah also wondered what future the humans would bring. She tried to understand their technology, but human systems were locked behind layers she could not break. As the fleets prepared for another warp, they received a signal. Vorik forces were gathering near another council world. This time, the Vorik brought one of their strongest battalions. Their ships were heavier, their weapons stronger, and their formation tighter. They wanted revenge. Sentinel-01 analyzed the data. Enemy force detected. Probability of civilian loss without human intervention, 93%. The human ships began to glow brighter. Admiral Li appeared again. Prepare for engagement. We move now. Commander Laraz sent a message to the council, telling them to be ready. This next battle would decide if the Vorik Dominion still held any real power. The human fleet formed a giant spear-shaped formation. The investigative fleet watched from behind as the engines brightened. Jiho held his breath. Hannah closed her eyes for a moment. The human fleet jumped into warp. When they arrived at the next battleground, the Vorik were ready. Their ships formed a thick wall of metal and fire. Their weapons charged, glowing with dangerous energy. But the humans were not intimidated. The Earth fleet split into 3 groups. The first struck from the front. The second came from above, bending space to enter from an impossible angle. The third arrived behind the Vorik fleet, cutting off escape. The battle was fast and brutal. Human weapons tore through the Vorik defenses. Their ships moved like they were alive, dodging attacks and countering with perfect timing. In minutes, the battle ended. The Vorik fleet was gone. The human ships stood in silence, engines humming softly. Jiho stared at the aftermath. They are unstoppable, he whispered. Hannah nodded slowly. But where will this lead? Commander Laraz said nothing. He did not know the answer. But one thing was clear. The galaxy had never seen power like this. And it had only just begun. The tension across the galaxy grew heavier as the fleet from Earth moved deeper into the central systems. People across many worlds whispered about the old stories of humans. And now they looked at the sky with fear and curiosity. No one knew what the humans wanted, and no one understood why so many warships had returned after being gone for so long. In the command chamber of the Galaxy Council, the leaders gathered for another emergency meeting. The room was filled with holograms of star maps that showed the movement of the massive Earth fleet. Zhongmin stood near the center table, watching the steady line of glowing symbols move through the galaxy. His face stayed calm, but everyone around him could feel his worry. Mira stood beside him, her arms crossed, and her thoughts deep. She had seen the recording of the human warship firing a single shot that destroyed a pirate fleet. She could not stop thinking about the power she had witnessed. She wondered how such a species had disappeared for centuries and then returned with such strength. Dabin, who was usually quiet, now spoke with a shaking voice. What if they come here next? What if we cannot talk to them? What if they only want war? His fear made the room fall silent. Unji, who had always believed stories of humans were half true and half myth, watched the map carefully. We do not know their goal yet. Their ships have not attacked any world. Maybe they want to talk. Maybe they want something else. We cannot decide until we try to speak with them. Counselor Haroon, who represented a desert world on the outer rim, shook his head. They returned with 7,000 warships. No one brings that kind of force for a peaceful visit. We should prepare for war. But Zhangmin finally spoke. His voice was steady. If humans wanted war, the galaxy would already be burning. Their ships passed many populated systems, and they did not fire even once. We must think with a clear mind, not fear. The room stayed quiet after his words. Everyone understood he was right. Fear could not guide them. Outside the council station across many worlds, news of the human fleet spread fast. On the peaceful farming world of Nella Prime, families stood together in fields, looking at the sky. On a cold mining moon, workers gathered near the cargo port, watching hologram screens. Everywhere, people spoke in low voices, unsure if they were witnessing the beginning of a new age or the beginning of destruction. As the council prepared a diplomatic message to send to the human fleet, something unexpected happened. The humans sent a message first. A bright signal reached the council's main communication center. Technicians and officers hurried to decode it. The entire council gathered in the communication hall. They waited in silence as the signal finished decoding. A human face appeared on the giant screen. He was older, with sharp eyes and calm expression. He wore a dark uniform with a symbol that looked like an old Earth flag on his shoulder. No one in the galaxy had seen a human in thousands of years. The entire room held its breath. The man spoke in clear, steady words. To the Galaxy Council, this is Admiral Kang Jaehyun of the Earth Interstellar Fleet. We have returned. There is much to explain, and we request a meeting. We come not as conquerors, but as survivors. We come with purpose. Prepare a secure location for talks. We will arrive within 2 cycles. The message ended. The room stayed silent for a long time. No one moved. No one spoke. Mira finally breathed out slowly. Survivors? What happened to them all this time? Zhangmin looked thoughtful. If they were gone for so long and now returned with thousands of warships, something must have driven them away, and something else brought them back. The council agreed to prepare a meeting. They chose a neutral space station at the edge of the central region. Security from dozens of worlds was sent there. Ships patrolled the surrounding space. It was the most heavily protected meeting in centuries. When the day arrived, a giant shadow appeared in space. The flagship of the human fleet moved toward the station slowly and carefully. Its silver hull reflected the light of nearby stars. Smaller escort ships surrounded it in a tight formation. Even the most experienced soldiers who had seen many battles felt a chill when they looked at the human flagship. Inside the station's main hall, Zhangmin, Mira, Unji, and Dabin stood ready with the council's representatives. The atmosphere was tense. Everyone waited. The doors opened. A group of humans walked in. They were tall, strong, and dressed in dark uniforms. Their faces showed discipline and confidence, but not hostility. At the front was Admiral Kang Jaehyun, the man from the message. For a moment no one spoke. Then the Admiral bowed his head slightly. Thank you for agreeing to meet with us. We wish for peace, but we cannot ignore the danger approaching this galaxy. Zhangmin took a small step forward. We welcome you, but we must understand why you returned with so many warships. What danger are you talking about? The Admiral looked at them with a serious expression. Humans did not vanish. We fled. We fought something far beyond anything this galaxy has seen. And now, that enemy has found us again. They are coming here. We are not your threat. We are your warning. Gasps filled the hall. Myra's heart pounded. What kind of enemy? Who are they? The Admiral closed his eyes for a moment, as if remembering something painful. They are called the Voidborn. They destroyed our old worlds. We fought them for centuries. We survived only by escaping into the deep dark regions beyond the known galaxy. Now they have found us once more, and they will come for every star. Fear spread across the hall. Even the bravest counselors felt cold. But the Admiral continued. Earth rebuilt. We trained. We made ships stronger than anything before. We returned not to conquer, but to protect. But we cannot do it alone. The galaxy must stand together, or fall apart one world at a time. Zhang Min felt the weight of the Admiral's words. The council members looked at one another, unsure and shaken. Dabin whispered, if what he says is true, then everything we know is in danger. Unji nodded slowly. But maybe this is why humans returned. Maybe this is the beginning of something greater. The meeting continued for hours. Talks were intense. Some trusted the humans. Some feared them. But one thing became clear. The galaxy would soon face a threat far greater than humanity. As the talks ended, Admiral Kang Jaehyun stood near the window of the station, looking at the stars. The Voidborn are coming, he said quietly. And the galaxy must choose. Stand together, or be forgotten. Outside, in the endless dark, the Earth fleet waited like silent guardians. The galaxy was on the edge of a new war, one that could decide the future of every living world. The days following the meeting between the Galaxy Council and the humans passed with heavy tension. The truth about the Voidborn spread across every system. People everywhere reacted with fear and disbelief. Some thought the humans were lying to gain control. Others believed no lie could be that terrifying. But the strongest reaction was uncertainty. No one in the galaxy had ever heard of a species that destroyed entire civilizations. Inside the Council's main communication hub, Zhang Min watched reports from many worlds. Some planets began preparing defenses. Some started building shelters. Others demanded more information from the humans. Zhang Min felt the weight of every message. Mira joined him, holding a tablet filled with recent updates. Her expression was tired. Everyone is afraid, and fear spreads faster than truth. He nodded. Fear always does. But the humans say the Voidborn are real. And when I looked into Admiral Kang Jaehyun's eyes, I saw no lie. I saw a man who had survived something terrible. Mira sighed softly. Then we must prepare the galaxy, even if many do not believe yet. Across the station, Unji worked with communication officers, sending comm messages to several systems. She tried her best to sound confident and collected. Deep inside, she worried every moment. The humans had come with 7,000 warships. If even they feared the Voidborn, then how powerful could this enemy be? Dabin, meanwhile, spent time observing the humans stationed on the neutral platform. He watched how they moved, how they spoke, how they worked. They carried themselves with discipline and strength, but there was something else in their eyes. A quiet sadness. A memory of loss they never talked about. The day for the joint briefing arrived. Representatives from more than 60 worlds gathered in the Great Hall of the neutral station. The room was filled with voices, arguments, and nervous whispers. The fear of the unknown enemy made everyone uneasy. The hum of tension surrounded the hall. Then the humans entered. Led by Admiral Kang Jaehyun, the entire room fell into silence. He stood before the gathered worlds and looked at them for a long moment. "Thank you for coming," he said in calm, steady words. "I understand your doubts, and I understand your fear. We lived in fear for centuries. We fled, we hid, and we fought a long war against the Voidborn. They are not a story. They are not a myth. They are real, and they are coming for this galaxy." The room stayed silent. No one dared interrupt him. The Admiral pointed toward the giant hologram behind him. The image changed to show a dark, moving shape, something massive drifting through space. "This was the last recording from one of our frontier posts. The Voidborn destroy light, matter, and life. Their ships are alive, made of something we do not fully understand. They move as one, think as one, and they consume everything. We barely survived their last attack. Gasps echoed around the hall. An older counselor stood up. If they are that strong, then how are you still alive? How did humans survive all this time? Admiral Kang's eyes darkened, remembering something painful. We did not survive because we were stronger. We survived because we learned how to run, how to hide, and how to fight only when we had a chance. We built new worlds far beyond the borders of any known map. We trained generations of soldiers. Our fleet today is the result of centuries of preparation. But we cannot face the Voidborn alone. If the galaxy does not stand with us, it will fall before knowing what hit it. The room erupted in mixed reactions. Some shouted questions. Some looked afraid. Others whispered among themselves. Zhongmin stepped forward to help calm the hall. We stand at the edge of something greater than any war in our history. If we ignore this threat, we will regret it. If we stand together, we might survive. Earth has returned. Maybe not as conquerors or lost legends, but as a shield we desperately need. Slowly, the voices quieted again. A representative from a distant ocean world stood. If what you say is true, then we must join you. We must prepare our defenses and share knowledge. Another from a forest world nodded. We cannot face the unknown divided. We will stand with Earth. One by one, more worlds agreed. A new alliance began to form. Admiral Kang bowed his head slightly. Then we will train together. We will share strategies. We will prepare every world. The Voidborn cannot be allowed to enter this galaxy without resistance. The meeting ended with an agreement that would shape the future of the galaxy. In the days that followed, Earth warships spread across many regions. They shared technology, trained soldiers, and helped build new defenses. The galaxy slowly transformed. Patrol fleets increased in number. Worlds that once had little contact with each other now worked together. Even the distant colonies started preparing for the coming war. But despite the growing unity, tension remained. Late one night, Mira found Admiral Kang alone in the observation deck. The stars outside the window looked calm, hiding the threat approaching from beyond. She asked quietly, "Do you think we really have a chance against them?" The Admiral did not answer immediately. He looked at the stars with a heavy heart. "We have a chance only because we are not alone anymore. Humans learned long ago that fighting alone leads only to loss. But together, maybe this galaxy can stand." Mira nodded, feeling a mix of fear and hope. Far from the station, deep in uncharted space, a ripple formed in the darkness. Something massive stirred. The Voidborn moved silently in the void, a shadow large enough to cover entire star systems. They had found the galaxy, and they were coming. Back on the neutral station, Zhongmin, Eunji, Dabin, and Mira gathered in the council chamber. They looked at the star maps, now updated with new intelligence provided by Earth. The countdown had begun. Dabin whispered, "This is real. This is really happening." Eunji placed a hand on his shoulder. "But we will not face it alone anymore." Zhongmin looked at the map with determination. "This is the start of something new. A new alliance. A new future. Whatever the Voidborn bring, we will stand against it. Humans and every world of this galaxy, side by side." Outside the station, the Earth fleet waited silent, powerful, ready. The galaxy was preparing for a war that would shape its destiny. And for the first time in thousands of years, humans were no longer legends. They were leaders. They were warriors. They were the last light before the darkness. And the real battle had not even begun.